Hi everyone, welcome to DOdaily, Thursday Thoughts. Des here. Just checking in for the live questions, looking forward to getting stuck into those. But of course, using this time as I always do on a Thursday, just to sort of catch up with myself, explain how things are going and start looking forward to the weekend ahead. Just been out for a dog walk in the snow. I'm sure you don't need me to tell me. It's absolutely miserable out there, but I've actually really enjoyed it. The dog's loved himself. He's here with me now, doing dog things over there. But it was great just to get out, build on all the positivity that's built up over the week, and really look forward, like I say, to what's next. It wasn't a run today. I mentioned on Wednesday workout last night, it might be hard to get one in. With what we was expecting with the weather and all that's transpired. So it was just a case of making sure the dog got his activity and getting out there. And like I say, as much as it wasn't a run, being out in the wet, I'm absolutely thrilled for the dog's been jumping up and down me. He loved the snow. It's just great to have a little bit of a rest, I guess. I was planning it for tomorrow, but now if tomorrow picks up as well as my wake up to walk, I can perhaps get out for a run to end my week. But feeling good for everything that's gone, as you might have saw on yesterday's episode. Please check it out if you can. I'm feeling really enthusiastic. So a Wednesday workout where I managed to talk a lot about running. It's quite often what I do in that episode, is a good one to catch up on. And of course, what I'll say before we get really stuck in today's episode, if you've got any comments to make, anything to add throughout, I'd love to read a few. Please get in touch in the live comments or any of those links scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And of course, please give us a follow if you can. Subscribe to the channel, follow any of that social media link. That'll be much appreciated. And give this episode a thumbs up. It's just me, bit light-hearted chat, just coming to terms with what's gone before and really sort of be positive and enthusiastic about the things I've got to look forward to. As always on a Thursday, it's throwback question, and then I go through your questions, answer them the best I can. Another good set to go through today. I always answer 3 of those. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're not so, but it's just good to sort of share information, and that's all I'm trying to do on a Thursday. The throwback just might inspire some people to think what they're thinking, how they go about things is really good. So I'll get stuck into that. Last week, towards the end of the episode, I asked the question of what would your perfect weekend include? I was asked that question, and we tend to use one of those. It's a chance for viewers to hook up, get involved in what I'm doing, support the channel. Just get behind it, give me 1 or 2 snippets of content and things to work with, and that's all this is about. So I'd explain mine. It's pretty much every weekend, finishing work, perhaps 1 or 2 pints, going to the football, running, park run, football, running again, and then sort of relaxing on a Sunday afternoon. Really look forward to those kind of things. Didn't want to be too boring. There's other things that I really look forward to. This weekend, for example, I'm going away to football. So again, I've got I'm not just going away to football. I've got a park run planned. I'm going away to football, and then I'm staying in London for the night. So really hoping to be inspired to get up on Sunday morning from the hotel, go for a long run, and then come back and have breakfast. We've got a late checkout, so I've given myself no excuses, trying to add that accountability I'm always talking about. So again, really looking forward to that. But in terms of responses from the guys, really appreciate those who got back to me. Joanne says, mine would be taking time away from it all and reading a good book or 2. Of course, some people love to bury themselves in books, don't they? Something I've just got back to actually, just tonight, with it being so cold and wet and damp, to take my mind off it a little bit, put one of my audio books on. I'm not so much of a reader. I do read a little bit, but I subscribe to audiobook and got plenty to catch up on. And I'm really keen to sort of get out with the dog when the weather picks up, especially get more walks in, to top up my training as well, to top up time on my feet, but also to keep learning, to keep listening to others and taking ideas from them, just as just as I'm encouraging here. So great way to get stuck into a book. Tom says spending it with all my family. I don't see them as much as I'd like to. Again, that's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And it's all quality time. I think most of us would like a little bit more, but we don't always get it through the various things we do. Kay, of course, says it would involve the seaside, a nice meal out with Des, and a long walk with Stan, then going to the theatre and having some wine with my mum. If I could cram all that in, I'm sure you could give it a good go, Kay. So that sounds like a lovely weekend. I'm sure we can plan that, and I'll bear that in mind for when these special occasions come out. Of course, my mind is starting to gear towards seaside and the dog, and we're lucky enough to have access to a caravan at the coast. So looking forward to when we can get down and starting to really sort of figure out when we can do it. So definitely looking forward to that. And Ian says, my perfect weekend will be part one, watch Forest win, then a couple of pints to celebrate. Just as I said, they really sort of love those kind of weekends, because of the enthusiasm and excitement I've got for football and all those people and the positivity it creates. It's not just about the drinking, but the pints afterwards in the pub where everybody's on the same wavelength, everybody's celebrating the same thing. That's what makes it really enjoyable. So there's nothing wrong with a little indulgence when you're feeling good about yourself. So again, all those things there, just really positive scenarios. And like I say, just ways that we could perhaps inspire each other. If we think our ideas are not quite normal or right or whatever we're thinking, it's just a chance to see how others do it. And like I say, just to drop a comment, just to get involved in this live episode. Like I say, I'll remind you, if you've got anything to add throughout the episode on any of the questions that are coming up, try and answer them the best I can. I've not actually seen them yet. Kay puts all this on for me, so I'll be reading through those and giving it my best shot. Don't know whether they're serious, don't know whether they're... I don't know whether they're too serious. I've had a quick, I'll be honest, I've had a quick glance through, but I've not read them properly because I've literally just got in from the dog walk. So they look to be a nice set, to go at. But again, if they require some honesty and me to get deep, then that's what I'll do. If anybody's got any questions for future weeks, I'd love them to get involved. In the past, I've got really deep on a Thursday about my own personal experiences, about certain topics and subjects. I've had people come on and get involved, and that's really good as well. So first, it's just a bit of a free hit. And like tonight, without a run, normally I've done my coaching session. It's one of my toughest sessions of the week. It's just nice to have that little bit of break and feel like I'm starting to ease into the weekend. But getting to those questions, that's what Thursday's all about, of course. Question one, we've seen a massive turn in the weather this week. Love snow or hate it? And this is from Tom. I don't know, really. It's upset me a little bit this week because I want to get out there and keep running, and I'm feeling good about what I'm doing, so I don't want it to interrupt too much. Still feeling really positive today. Like I say, perhaps needed a break. Done 15 miles in the first 3 days of the week, and that's probably as much as I've done in any week over the last few weeks. So I don't want to do too much all at once, risk injury, risk upsetting myself in terms of motivation and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm still positive, but I don't want it to linger around too long. I don't want it to impact my weekend plans, my park run, and the thought of running in London, which is a place that inspires me anyway. So yeah, at the moment it's fine. It was brilliant with the dog. He absolutely loved it. He's wet through. Didn't quite know what to make of it at times. Just kept running around in circles in the snow. But that was brilliant to see, and I took a few pictures. That's always nice as well. Just watching him at the moment is misbehaving. Stan. Yeah, so at the moment it's all fine, but don't want it to linger around too long, and it all gets a little bit annoying, doesn't it? When it's been around too long, when it's slushy and horrible and annoying. It's nice when it's pretty, and you've got some nice scenes. I love it when we can take some pictures and do what I need to do, but definitely enjoying it at the moment. Comment here from Eve. Good evening, Des. Hope you're well. I haven't been well since last Wednesday. I've had to have a throat infection and an ear infection and been unable to exercise. Good evening, Eve. Nice to have you on. Hopefully you'll be feeling better soon. Of course, I was ill a couple of weeks ago. It's all about just dealing with what we've got to do. Don't worry about the exercise, one step at a time, and make sure you get better. That's what it's all about. And hopefully that's not too long. You're fighting fit and you can do it. Get back into that exercise when you're ready. Don't stress too much about it right now. So yeah, the snow, I love the picturesque side of it. I love taking pictures, as everybody knows who watches DOdaily. I'll be up in the morning. Hopefully, if it's settled and there's some nice pictures to take, I can post those up. But for now, it's just a bit slushy, a bit annoying, and I want to keep running. So, bit of mixed feelings at the minute, but we'll see where we go with that one. Stan's going absolutely mentally here. Question 2: if you've ever, this is from Kay. If you had to eat the same meal every day for a month, what would it be? She's trying to put me on some kind of strict diet. I don't know, to be honest. Like I said, not had too much preparation on these questions. Sorry, I need to sort this dog out. He's been an absolute nightmare. If I had to eat the same meal, Kay's just arrived in. Get that shoe off him. If I had to eat the same meal every day, what would it be? Steak and chips. She's here to hear the question for herself now. She just walked in and got the shoe off the dog and hopefully going to take him into the other room. But no, it'd probably be steak and chips, my favourite, although we can't eat chips every day, can we? So that would be too much, I guess. So probably just some steak. Keep the sorry, I lost my train of thought now. This is enticed the dog into the living room out the way, so I've got some peace again. Yeah, so it'd definitely be steak and chips. Everybody loves steak and chips with peppercorn sauce, don't they? Definitely I do. But I suppose we can't eat chips, otherwise I'd end up back the size I don't want to be. And at the moment, I'm on a bit of a health streak. I'm training. The steak will be good for the training, but I'm not sure about the chips. So perhaps steak and rice. That'd be a little bit better, wouldn't it? But every day for a month, I'm sure it'd be a little bit expensive as well. Steak. But, I when I'm on a diet, what I will say about this question, when I'm on a diet, I can eat the same things. A lot of the time, I think people struggle, and when you're trying to eat healthy, they get bored and they don't want to eat the same things and they lose motivation for it because of that. And it's just something what I can click into. I can eat like rice and pastas every day. They're not always brilliant. I mean, you've got to balance it up somewhat, but they're better than eating chips every day. We know that as well, don't we? So again, it's not something that particularly bothers me. We have that conversation like most couples, what we're having for tea, and just go around in circles for 3 hours every night. But it's all good fun, and I end up saying something and she tells me she wants something else. I say, why ask me the question? But that's just what everybody does, isn't it? So really not too fussed sometimes. I think she's probably looking for a bit of inspiration herself there. I think tonight I can smell it. We've got bolognese in the slow cooker, so really looking forward to that after this episode, after that cold walk. Quite a long one for the dog as well, a couple of miles. He's still increasing that and getting out in the cold, so it'd be nice to have that hearty tea inside. Is really looking forward to that. But if you want to cook me steak every night, okay, feel free. Thanks for the question. Question 3: apart from where you live, what's your favourite place in Nottingham to run? And this is from Lisa. So obviously I do a lot of running around the River Trent. A lot of DOdailys film around the River Trent. I live next to the River Trent. It's almost my backyard. Live in a terraced house, so we haven't got a garden, but not too fussed with all that there. Love taking the dog out there as well. The football's by the River Trent, the running club's by the River Trent, the cricket ground's by the River Trent. So I'm really, really sort of obsessed with where I live, and the embankment and running and all those things. So it's fantastic. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'd hate to live now in the suburbs. I'm not saying that will never happen, but we really, really sort of appreciate what we've got on the doorstep, and it's a fantastic place to be. But Lisa asked a question here: what's your favourite place to run? Well, when I started running, I didn't live here. that was about 7 or 8 years ago now, and I grew up in the north of the city. Obviously now by the River Trent, I'm in the south of the city, and I grew up around Bessel Country Park, which is not too far. When I started running and things were, I lived in a different sort of time zone. I lived in a different world. I wasn't with Kay. I was single. I'd go out and do long runs on my own, and I didn't have running clubs and such things to do. I'd go through Bessel Country Park, an amazing place to visit. It's just north of the city, like I say. And I do my 10-mile Sunday long runs, and I'd be trudging through the woods and up this big hill, which was about halfway through. And I absolutely love it. When the wind and rain was lashing against me like it is at the moment, it would just be fantastic. So I guess that's my other favourite place to run. I wouldn't change what I have here. There's a place just along the river called Clifton Grove. It's a fantastic place to run through. Again, it's pretty much along the same lines as Bessel Country Park, leafy and sort of woodlands and sheltered a bit by the trees, but then you get the fresh air in there in the summer as well. That's always nice. And Colwick Park, which is the other way, which is downstream a little bit, which again is one way or another. I tend to make the most of this river and all the places along it. So really sort of appreciate that. Anybody who runs and sort of gets it, will understand why those areas away from traffic and noise and those kind of things are so important, especially when you try and get a little bit more from it than just the fitness. Whilst I am trying to improve, I'm training for things, training for the London Marathon. Of course, it's important for me to get that little bit more, that headspace, that feel good about what I'm doing, the chance to enjoy it, take myself away and really get that enjoyment. And that's what I've been talking about a lot this week, yesterday in particular, is getting all that back. So there's several places I really enjoy to go. There's slight different reasons for them. Like I say, the convenience of the home and the river and that open space. Being by water is always a calming influence. I guess that's why I sort of stretch my places along the river and go to different points. There's a point on the other side of the river downstream where I go and walk around the bay, right around Lady Bay, and it's called the Hook and Home Pierpont. That's a really sort of nice place to go as well. And a Home Pierpont Water Sports Centre, there's always lots of activity. I always find if I get there at the weekend in the morning, there's so much going off, and that really inspires me. So anybody from Nottingham, that's a really it's a really inspirational place. Lots of different park runs, lots of different running groups and clubs, as well as my own here by the river. So there's lots to be taken from it. And then there's lots of country parks as well. For those who are not too familiar with Nottingham, it used to be a bit of a hub of pits, mines, coal mines. So a lot of those now have been turned into country parks, which are absolutely stunning. Some are high up, some are in woodlands, like I mentioned at Bessel Country Park. There's Gedling Country Park, which has got some stunning views across the Trent Valley, all sort of built on the old slag heaps, and sort of surrounded by whatever was there before. They're just fantastic. Evolution's a fantastic thing, isn't it? Sorry, evolution. Sound like Alan Partridge here. Revolution is no, I was right the first time. I've lost the train of thought now. Evolution's a fantastic thing. To think that these things were coal mines and places that, whilst they served a real whilst they were really important to life in those times, now they're places that people use for health and well-being and such things as I'm trying to encourage here. So always fascinates me that they've turned into what they are these days, but fantastic places to visit. Like I say, if you're not from Nottingham and you ever come to this sort of area, there seems to be more than most places. A lot of places got country parks now. Visited one last Saturday at Daventry, around a lake, for a park, and that was really nice. So again, it's just about making the most of some of these green open spaces. There's been a lot done in the last few years about how nature contributes to good mental health, and of course I'm an advocate of that. All the things I'm doing here, trying to say, is to try and advocate a little bit of positive thinking, enthusiasm for what we do, and of course, good mental health. Whilst I try not to preach too much about it, it is a thing that I'm really sort of hot on it, in the fact that I want to support it wherever I can. I want to support my own. I want to feel good, and these are all things that make me do that. Got a couple of comments here. Kay has been a little bit sarcastic there when she says a lovely fish recipe. She asked me what I wanted for my tea the other night, and I'd just been for a run, and she says, I'm thinking of a fish recipe. Fish is not my favourite, and it's not what I wanted after a good run. So a few choice words there, in jest, of course, but definitely not a fish recipe. Adrian says, evening, Des. Hope you're well. I'm in Nottingham a week today for the Premier League darts. Hope you enjoy that. Been to it a couple of times. It's quite lively in the arena. I really enjoy the darts myself. I've been, like I say, to Nottingham a few times. I've been to the World Championships as well. It's a little bit different. A lot of excitable young men normally, and a few drinks, but it's really good. Hope you enjoy that. Hopefully you get to enjoy some of Nottingham. I just mentioned a bit of it there. So, and then he followed that up actually by saying, my first ever half marathon was Nottingham. I still think it's the toughest one I've ever done. I think your first one's always the toughest, isn't it, Adrian? But no, I'm actually an ambassador for the Robin Hood Half Marathon, and there's lots of things. I've spoke about it time after time on DOdaily. I've got different sort of connections with it. Even meeting Kay after it, proposing to Kay after it, all sorts of things. But I've always found it one of the toughest. I've never had a particularly comfortable race. Never have a comfortable race, regardless of where it is or what it is, because I never seem to be prepared, even when I've been at my fittest. That's why I'm trying so hard at the moment to get back to a point. I won't be at my fittest for my next race, but I'll give it my best shot and try and maintain some fitness. But Nottingham and the Robin Hood has always felt really tough. So it'd be interesting to hear what people think of that as well. But again, in that run, there's lots of nice places to visit. Wollerton Park, of course, where Batman's filmed, for anybody who's not from the city. And then some of the taking in the castle and things around the city centre, that's all nice too. So thanks for joining us, Adrian. Thanks for the comments. And again, hopefully you enjoy the darts next week. I'm sure you will. If that's what you watch, I'll probably be watching it as soon as I finish here and I've sat down for my fish recipe. No, it's bolognese, isn't it? Not steak. But I'll definitely be looking forward to that. And thanks for the questions, guys. Really appreciate it. Like I say, just light-hearted stuff. Bit different tonight. Been interrupted by the dog doing whatever he was doing, by Kay coming in. Lost my train of thought. But this is just me being me, honest, relatable, feeling good at the moment. I didn't get too deep at the start. Just to comment there, I'll come to this, Sean. Sean Stone says, hi, Des. Do you have an email so I can get in contact with you? I do, and I'll read that out before we finish. Yeah, feeling really good. The running has really helped me this week. It always does, but from a tricky start and some of the things I was talking about on Tuesday and what had happened on Sunday and Monday, again, just being really honest, being really out there with what I'm thinking. I'm quite prepared to get out of my comfort zone just to let people look in, and I think, yes, it's not always straightforward, what we do and how we go about things. I was listening to something just whilst I was out with the dog. I was talking earlier in the episode about getting back to my podcast and my audio books and things like that, and I was listening to a guy who says he doesn't believe in being happy, but it was an inspirational video. It was just about tackling each day as it comes. If we're sad, it's an emotion. If we're happy, it's an emotion. And then we get the happy feeling anyway. It comes naturally. So I won't go too deep into that, but I thought it was fascinating what was being said. But again, all I'm trying to be here is positive, and if that puts me in a better place by doing the thing, by talking about the things I enjoy, by doing the things I enjoy and sort of feeling these different emotions, then that's fantastic, isn't it? I've said over the last few years that this is something I really want to develop, I really want to take forward. I encourage people to get involved. A couple of different names popping up there, which I really appreciate, and I really sort of do encourage people to get in touch. Over the last year or two on DOdaily. Lots of people have got in touch, told me about things that are happening in their life, wanted to talk to me, had that trust in me, because again, whilst I don't claim to be an expert or a mental health doctor or nurse or whatever, I'm a normal person who deals with normal things, and had a few shitty experiences, to tell the tale from. And I'm not perfect, I still do things wrong now. I still don't do some of the things I do. I still lose motivation. I still get upset by the wrong things. I still don't do it the way I plan to do it, eat the wrong things, don't go for a run, all the things I know that work for me. And again, I think sometimes what we just need to see is somebody living it real. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Hopefully I'll keep developing. Hopefully people will keep watching and supporting. If you do want to get in touch, of course, I've mentioned those links scrolling across the bottom. Please follow me across all forms of social media. Quite active on there, of course, doing something like this. Why wouldn't I be? Put myself out on a YouTube channel every day. So please follow me. And then, of course, you can email me, des@dorunning.org.uk. If you've got anything you want to talk to me about, discuss, say, comments, questions for next week. If you want things to be anonymous, if you want to tell me about something, ask me about something and get me talking about a subject that's perhaps uncomfortable for you to ask in public, and it's probably going to get me uncomfortable, I'm quite prepared to do that, because again, it's about being real, isn't it? Some of that stuff tonight, it's quite easy, quite light-hearted, but like I say in the past, it's been a little bit different, and I just enjoy getting on for Thursday, rambling on about different things. I was thinking to myself whilst I was out walking, I thought, does Thursday actually work? And I thought it does, because it's just that different aspect to everything I'm doing. I don't necessarily know what's coming. Like I say, I didn't really know what was coming. I had quickly glazed over the questions tonight and realised that they weren't going to be too difficult. But again, if it gets me uncomfortable, then it's just showing the real side of life, and that's all I'm trying to do. So hopefully you can support the channel, you can support me. Please drop this episode a like. I'd really, really appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's comments. If you can get involved in the questions, interact with more comments, that's fantastic. Comment afterwards on what you're seeing. Do check back on the earlier episodes this week. It's just they've been quite different. Yesterday in particular, I was raving about running again. The day before, I was sort of in a quandary about what I'm doing next and where I'm going and things like that. And it all makes sense if you watch it over time. A lot of it's repeated, but again, it's important, isn't it? Because it's all put me back in a good place by getting things off my chest. Communication is key in all this, isn't it? So again, if you need to get in touch, there's the email address, and again, you can get in touch through any of the links scrolling across the bottom. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going for my tea now to settle down properly, to get a shower, and settle down for the evening. But I'll be up bright and early. It might not be that bright. It's a bit miserable out there, isn't it? But I'll be roaming around somewhere, doing a video, trying to process everything that's gone this week. And it has been a indifferent week, not a bad week, just a few different things floating around in my head. Try and process that all, use the early start to feel like I'm attacking the day, talk about some of the benefits where I'm feeling them, and of course look forward to the weekend as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Really, really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the input. Hopefully, if you want to get in touch, that email, just once again, is des@dorunning.org.uk, and I'll always respond. Even if I don't respond straight away, I will pick it up and I will respond to it in the best way I can. That's why I don't always respond straight away. If it's asking me certain things, I'll try and give a good response. So until next time, guys, until Wake Up to Walk, which will be on at some point tomorrow evening, just doing it.